that's important to me. I want those kids to be recognized. Like I said, I wish somebody was doing it for me. So instead of just wishing it, I made it happen.
How do you advise a young driver to make that initial approach or have that initial conversation of seeking first partnership?
These young kids, they're putting just as much effort into it, right? They might not see the financial challenges because they're not paying for it out of their own pocket, but some of these kids do put their own money to it, right?
All right, welcome to this episode of Rubberneck Radio. In this episode, I talk with Jarrod Klay, the driver of the Elevation Construction 17J modified car. Jarrod and I share his upbringing in racing and how he got started in racing. We also talk about his work with Fueling the Future, bringing a spotlight to up-and-coming drivers and really trying to help the next generation of Ohio dirt drivers. And we also talk about partnership relationships between race car drivers and the sponsors or partners that help them out and put a car out on the track. This is a really cool episode, so be sure to subscribe and like here on YouTube. And you can also catch Rubberneck Radio on your favorite podcast player, so make sure you check us out over there. So let's get into it with Jarrod Klay. Jarrod, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on here, Scott. I really appreciate it.
Oh man, I appreciate you coming on, and it was kind of cool how we met, or how I first how you got on my radar was just doom scrolling Facebook, and then I saw a modified car with the number 17 with the Tide like throwback livery on it. Tell me about that.
So we've been racing for a long time, and had the number 7 my whole career, and wanted to do something fun. We had Charlotte Short Track Nationals set up to go to last fall. Unfortunately, we had 2 motors expire on us at Eldora 2 different times. So kind of shot that one in the foot. We didn't have a motor to go down there with, and we weren't going to throw something together for one race. So we had planned this with our graphics guy. We're like, hey, let's do something really cool. They have a best bearing car award down there. Let's try to win it. Like, hey, if we can't be the fastest, let's be the best looking, right? So we kind of put together this really cool idea, and Brandon at Beham Signs and Designs has been awesome, and just getting us the stuff in a timely manner, willingness to get a little crazy. Like this is probably the most tame car design I've ever had. I like wild, I like crazy, I like bright, I like something that nobody else has. And so This is what we came up with, a throwback. And being that Charlotte's NASCAR country, we're like, it'd be perfect. Well, that fell through, so like, hey, why not just run it this season? Like, we already had it set up. Yeah. Why not try it? And it's been a hit. People love it.
Yeah. And I've seen you're putting together like a campaign on social media to try and get Tide's attention and awareness to hopefully put their logo on your car. How's that going?
We haven't had anything from them. It's been all crickets. I would love to be able to get some sort of like, hey, we recognize you. This just isn't the route we're going to take. That'd be cool in itself. But it's just been crickets. So I guess until they tell me to stop, I want to keep going.
Yeah, I think they're really missing out on an opportunity here. I mean, like, what better to get on a dirt car than anything else?
I mean, if you're going to advertise being able to clean anything, I think that's probably a good place to start, right? We're greasy, we're dirty, we're muddy. What better way to advertise you can get anything clean?
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. I'd like to kind of go back before throwing the throwback logo or the throwback scheme on the car. But tell us how you got into racing. Like, when did you know racing was going to be a significant part in your life?
I would say probably at a young age, I knew I had a desire. I never thought it would be a reality, right? I was going to school telling kids like, hey, I'm going to race one day. And, that sort of stuff, easy to pick on. You're never going to race. You're never going to do that, right? That was what I heard. And truthfully, I didn't know if I would, but my mom sponsored a sprint car that ran at Lima Land for years. She has her own business. and she sponsored this car. We were good family friends with the guy, and so I was around it a lot. Went to Limeland every week. Got to take victory lane photos, on the front stretch at Lima back when they used to let fans just walk down to the track and take pictures with the drivers. So that kind of gave me the bug. And I was sitting in the stands one year. I was 15. I started reading the rules. Like, I'm just curious about these, right? And I realized that the rules say at 16 you're allowed to race. And I'm like, I turned 16 in February. Next summer, I'll be 16. Why can't I do this? So I leaned over to Mom. I was like, hey, you realize next year I'll be 16, right? And she goes, yeah, what's your point? I was like, I want to race. She's like, sure you are. I think it was 6 weeks later I bought my first car. Wasn't even old enough to have a license, but I had a stock car.
That's awesome, man. That's actually really interesting that your mom was sponsoring a race car, because it's usually, dad's construction company or, dad's pool company. Like, rarely do you hear of like a woman sponsorship, like ran business sponsorship on a car. What kind of business was she into or own?
So I'm actually in my mom's office right now. We're in the process of building a house, so we're like a week away from being able to move in. So in the meantime, we moved in with my parents.
That's awesome.
So we had somewhere to live until we could get in the house. So I'm actually in my mom's office. That's her logo right there off of one of my stock cars. It's appraisal specialist. So she has.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that. That's awesome.
She appraises commercial real estate. Yeah. So that's my brother and sister, me, and family all behind me. So.
I love it. I love it, man. Yeah, that's so cool that she was sponsoring a car. So you bought your first race car. Obviously this is probably before Facebook Marketplace, or like, where do you even look to pick something like that up?
So my crew chief, he crewed was crew chief for a car for a lot of years before me. And his driver had got injured, got out of it through different channels. Injury was part of it. I'm sure finance was part of it. Whatever, he had gotten out, and I had my dad reach out to him because I was really good friends with his son. His son and I went to school together, and my dad asked him, like, hey, my dad's not a mechanically minded guy. He can work his way around things, but he's really good with woodworking. Like, he's more construction based than like automotive based. Mm-hmm. And my dad asked him, like, hey, would you be willing to take him under your wing and teach him? And he's like, I've always wanted to mentor a young guy. So I've been with him since I was 15 years old. He found a car that had been guy was looking to get out of racing. He knew it was a safe car. It was more about safety than speed at that point. Like, let's make sure, safety and affordability. Let's make sure this kid's got it. I've never run go-karts. I've never done anything, right? So we're not going to go buy a brand new race car for a kid that doesn't even want to do this longer than, a season or something, right? So he helped me find this car, and the rest is history, right? Fell in love with it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's kind of interesting that you mentioned, safety and affordability over speed, like right out of the get-go. I think that's so important to kind of dive into a little bit, especially since you mentioned you didn't drive go carts, or anything smaller than that. So going into a stock car right out of the bat, that's got to be kind of intimidating. What were some of the things that or challenges that were like the biggest challenges for you when you first stepped into that car?
There was a ton, right? Racecraft obviously is one of them. I look at these kids that have been running Cridersville. That's a local go-kart track around here. They've been running Cridersville since they were 5, 6, 7 years old. And I actually, through the big car racing, a young kid started helping me. He was 9 at the time. He started helping me. He's 12 now. He's got his go-kart. And as a 12-year-old, he's behind the curve in the go-kart world. Like, they're just starting so young. They have such good racecraft at such a young age, where I was somebody who – we had backyard karts. I ran in mom and dad's backyard, but I never competitively raced. So learning racecraft was huge for me. Thankfully, being that I went to Lima every weekend, I had learned courtesies of racing. I would say, I'm not saying I knew them all, but I knew things that were like definite, hey, don't do this, or, you're not going to be respected. You might risk somebody wanting to punch you in the face, whatever the situation is. I learned a lot from watching, but until you get behind the seat and do, there's a lot of things that you don't understand are part of the game. So that was a huge part. It was racecraft. Obviously, these kids who have had years in go-karts have an advantage over. They've created these relationships with partners years over years over years, and they've been able to develop something and grow with these partners, grow with them. Where I'm starting at 16, and I'm like, hey, would you want to help a kid get his start in race cars? And it's tough because you don't have any history to say, hey, I've shown I'm good at this, and it takes money to be competitive. So it's kind of a really circular problem. I can't prove that I'm good because I don't have the money to be good. So it took us a lot of years to get our first win. That was a real challenge to prove that we had the ability to do what we said we had the ability to do.
Yeah, that's so awesome, man. I think you may bring up a lot of really good points because, when you look at, the big worldwide series like Formula One, NASCAR, that type of stuff, all those guys, they were in karts, they were running, mod lights or, midgets or something like that from the age of 9. I think there was who was it? It was I think it was Harvick. Harvick just like raced with his 8 or 9 year old kid. And then Kyle Busch just like raced with his 8 or 9 year old kid. So, those kids have a leg up, and same thing with Max Verstappen, where his old man, ran in Formula One, and he was basically born with a go-kart from the get-go. And so, you mentioned a lot of the challenges. One of the things that I'm interested to know, like, what were some of the things that you picked up on first, where you're like, wow, like I'm actually starting to kind of pick up on this racecraft stuff, or, what were some of the things that you felt like you achieved or you grasped at first?
That's a great question. Because looking at myself, I still feel like, hey, I have a ton to learn. I'm not there yet, and I go back and watch videos of myself, and I'm like, that's not me driving the car. Like it's funny, from inside the car, your confidence is next to nothing, and then you watch it, and you're like, wow, I do have confidence in this car. I can do the things that I watch these guys do. One of the things that I think racecraft wise I picked up on with quickest was spinning tires. To this day, my crew chief says, you've got to have one of the best throttle control I've ever seen. He goes, I can run a 20 lap feature and still have tits on the tire when I come back in from running a feature. I'm not
That's
saying
huge.
I'm like some mad skill guy at that. It's just something that came really, really naturally to me. If I hear the engine revving and I'm not moving forward, I'm literally spinning my wheels. I'm not gaining anything. So it was something that came really natural to me. But it's also something that's kind of hurt me a little bit in the modifieds. I've learned you have to drive them with a little bit of wheel slip. To get them to turn, to get them to get off the corner, a little bit of wheel spin isn't bad. So it's hurt me a little bit in modifieds. Something that I was really, really good at in the stock cars that helped me get up the ranks. Is now hurting me a little bit in modifieds. It's just something I didn't see happening. But that would probably be one of my strongest abilities, I would say, is just protecting my equipment. That took me a lot of years to learn. I mean, there's a lot of years I had more DNFs than actual finishes. And some of that's maturity, some of that's racecraft, some of that's a mixture of the two, right? You're young, you try to prove something, but you don't have the racecraft to do it. Some of it's you're not patient. Some of it's realizing you don't have to win on the first lap. There's one lap that pays, and it's not the first one. So that was something that probably took me the longest to learn. But now that I have learned it, I'd say it's one of my strengths. I can understand pretty early in the race if I have a car capable of winning or if I have a 10th place car. And if I have a 10th place car and I'm running third, I'm not going to push the issue trying to pass the guy in front of me. Now, if I get the opportunity, I'm going to, but I'm not going to force a situation because that's a good way to get the car torn up. But if I'm going to take what's given to me. If I get passed by a couple guys, I'm going to just do my best to hold my ground. Now, if I'm running 10th in a first place car, I'm willing to put the car in a little bit of a different position. I'm willing to push that issue a little bit because I know I can get away from that. I'm not going to be holding that guy up if I go throwing it in there and I slow him down. Well, the next corner, if I slow him down, he's not going to wait on me. He's going to be annoyed, right? So I've learned a little bit of that, how to protect the car, take what you're given, and instead of spending the week fixing the car from your stupid decision, you can spend the week improving the car. That's one of the biggest things in racing, I think, is being able to spend time improving instead of fixing.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think so. This is really my first season of really diving into dirt racing. And we met at Wayne County Speedway a couple weeks ago, where I have the opportunity to shoot photos and try and provide cool images for the drivers and families and fans and stuff like that. But I've always been kind of like dirt curious, but never really dove in. And talking to guys like you and some of the other guys and teams and drivers in the pits, like when somebody either gets in a wreck or has a DNF or blows an engine or something like that, like my heart absolutely like goes out for him, because I can empathize, like, man, like that's pretty tough compared to like a NASCAR team where like, oh man, Joey Logano blew his engine. Boo-hoo.
Right.
Like it stinks, man. Like I want everybody to run well. And I understand that as you mentioned, like racing, just you don't wave a magic wand to make a race car happen.
Right. Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head, right? These big money teams, they don't, I mean, they can throw an engine at it, not worry they got another one on the shelf at home, right?
Yeah.
Whereas us low budget racers, it's emotional for us, right? We've
100%.
spent every dime we have to get that engine in the car. We've sacrificed in other areas so that we could go racing. And when that engine lets go and we have that DNF, when that, shock breaks and you're spending $300-$400 to fix that, it's like, man, I've sacrificed so much to get to this point. It's emotional when that stuff breaks. It's not just simply, oh, I'm spending money. No, it's like, I've sacrificed for this. It's tough to have to go through that.
Yeah. Not only like money wise, but time wise. Now you have to go in and fix that type of stuff. And I'm sure pretty much everybody has a job that they have to work to pay the bills and stuff like that. And so your time investment is almost greater than the money investment sometimes. You mentioned that you've been able to kind of tell the difference between when you have a podium car versus a 10th place car. I'm curious to know, like, what kind of feedback and what kind of feeling are you getting from the car where like, dude, she's running hot today, or she's basically a pack mule.
So typically you can figure it out in the first corner. Like if you go in and the guys in front of you feel like you're being held up and you're passing cars, typically like, hey, I got something here. There's been nights where I go in the corner and I'm half throttle waiting on guys, feeling like I'm pushing them down the straightaway. I'm like, this is crazy. Like I'm waiting on them. If I can get clear of them, I got a lot more car I can show. So I mean that's typically your fastest way to react. Like, hey, if this adjustment worked the way I wanted to from the heat race, I got something, right? And then there's nights where you start and you're like, nope, we went the wrong way. We missed a track. We tightened too much. That's typically what we're running into the most, is car's too tight. We're still trying to figure out how to loosen up this car. It's our first season in this new car. It's a brand new car. So we've only got, I don't know, 7-8 nights on it at this point. So we're still trying to learn a lot of adjustments, and we're fighting a tight car. Car doesn't want to turn, and I can force. I'm a good driver that doesn't like to force the car to do something. So I'll slow down my corner, get it to turn to make it happen instead of throwing it in there, getting all crossed up. And I mean, that's just a good way to tear up cars, and I'm not about that. So typically I get faster as a race goes on if I have a car that's ill handling, because I learn how to make the car do what I want without being out of control. And my crew chief's he said time and time again, he goes, I don't get how you can complain about the car and still get faster throughout the race. I'm like, well, I'm figuring out how to make it do how I want it, make it do what I want it to do without getting the car out of shape.
Yeah.
I hate having a car where I'm not driving it. It's driving me. I've torn up too many race cars doing it. I don't, as I mature, I'm not willing to go down that road.
No, I get you, man. I think that's one of the biggest things that, and you hear that from drivers all over is, as they mature, they don't want to just absolutely send it. It's like, man, we got to take care of this thing. We have to make sure that we're being smart with it. Push when you can push. And, if it's, you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. And you got to be smart. It's interesting that you mentioned that you've only ran not even 10 nights in this new car. And I think this 2025 season's been kind of rough for everybody. And I still think a lot of people are still trying to figure out their equipment, still trying to figure out their cars and stuff like that. Just because, April, May, we got rained out, there's been rain halfway through June. And, what are some of those, um, complications or hurdles that you guys have to kind of go over when, last weekend Wayne County had its mid-season championship, but this last night the sprint car champion, or the speed week for sprint cars, was the fifth race that they've had. Like, what are some of the challenges that you guys have where we're already kind of deep in the summer, but time and seats hasn't been that much?
Yeah, obviously it's huge, right? This is only our second season of modified. Last year we ran a Lightning chassis just like we're on this year. However, it was the old generation of car, so it had a swing arm set up on the left rear, 4-bar on the right rear. This year it's a new generation of car. They made us a heck of a deal. They've partnered with us pretty well, and we're really thankful for that. So we're 4-bar both sides, and so we're learning. Not only are we learning to adjust this new car to what the car likes, to what the driver likes, we're also learning a different style of suspension. So the suspension acts a little bit different in the seat. So you're really behind the 8 ball on learning adjustments, learning how the car reacts, learning what the car wants, learning how I want the car. It really slows down progress trying to learn a new car, right? Whereas if we still had the old car, we'd have a baseline to set up off of. And I have the baseline of the book from Lightning. I feel like they like their cars a little bit tighter than my preference. I like my car to rotate a little bit better, and then and maybe that's just because, like we previously talked about, my throttle control. I feel like I can get off a corner even when it's slick with a car that's a little loose, versus I don't want to throw a car in the corner that's super tight and get the car all out of shape. That's just not my driving style. So we kind of creating a new baseline, and I don't feel like I'm to that new baseline yet. Now, thankfully, we've had some people come alongside of us and help us out, and that it's accelerating that to get to that baseline. But it's a real challenge when you can't get to that baseline. And then on top of it, time and seat, and then finances, right? We've had a super rough start to the year, tore up a lot of equipment the first couple races, and the economy seems to be doing some weird stuff. It's not necessarily slow, but people are cautious to spend money. Yeah. And merchandise isn't selling like it has in previous years. We've had a couple partners step away, like not saying that they won't come back, just saying like, hey, we're going to need a year off. We're not sure what the market's going to do. So that creates just a whole another level of challenge on top of time and seat, because if you don't have the money to go racing, you can't get time in the seat anyways.
Yeah. I think racing's in a really interesting place with kind of where the economy is right now. Like you mentioned, that you've got partners that, hey, we're not going to be able, or, we're not comfortable to help sponsor or provide you funds or provide X, Y, and Z. And, you mentioned the merchandise and, even just getting butts and seats for a lot of these racetracks, people are really looking at their budgets. And then on the other side of the coin, I think motorsport is in a really good place too, because, I'm sure you saw that Mansfield Speedway just got bought. It's getting rebuilt. And, obviously that's a huge investment, in a spot that, it held NASCAR races, truck races, that type of stuff. And I'm interested to kind of see how that plays out. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Oh, Mansfield specifically.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It'd be a track I would like to go to, right? I love racing new tracks, so that makes it easy to want to go there. B, it's cool to see a track come back to life. Like you said, racing's in a very unique position right now. With streaming, I think streaming's a dual-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
It puts a lot of eyes on our sport, but just as much as the tracks want to complain about people not being in seats, drivers face the same challenge, right? We've bought the same amount of merchandise this year to sell as what we bought last year and in previous years, and we're sitting on far more merchandise this far into the summer than we've ever been sitting on. And if people aren't there to buy the merchandise, they're sitting at home watching on their TV. You know, it hurts us just as much as it hurts the track. So, I mean, I completely understand, like, tracks get nervous, drivers get nervous. But at the same point in time, you look at Mansfield and you're like, okay, so this is a good sign, right? I think streaming's a good thing. I think Mansfield's a good thing. Hopefully Mansfield does the streaming, because I think that'll be a great way for them to take off. I just think maybe there's a way we can somehow tweak the streaming to put a little more cash in the track's pocket. Maybe if the track can get a little bit kickback, maybe they make gate prices cheaper, boost driver payback. I don't know what the answers are, right? I'm just a racer. I got ideas. Right. I'm not saying I'm right, but I think everybody has ideas and opinions. But I do think it would help with the sport a ton for those streaming services to be able to give a little more back to the track. I mean, if you give a little more back to the track, you make the gate price cheaper.
Yep.
You know, maybe that person wouldn't sit at home, right? And I'll be honest, I'm just as guilty as anybody else, right? I can look at a race and say, well, it's going to take me an hour and a half to drive there, so I got diesel fuel to drive. Say I'm not racing, I want to watch. I got diesel fuel to drive. It's going to cost my wife and I $60 to get in, and then dinner or whatever, where I can sit at home on my TV, pay $40 to subscribe for a month and watch whatever they have on there for the next month.
Right.
And I can sit at home in the comfort of my air conditioning and cook my own food and be well ahead financially. It's like, well, I'm guilty as everybody else. I've done it. So I don't know what the answer is. I think streaming is a good thing, but I think there needs to be a way that the track gets something back from that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, and I'm right with you. I'll be the first one to tell you that I'm fish out of water when it comes to track finances and stuff like that. But no, I think you're right about streaming of, bringing more exposure, but double-edged sword, like you said. I think one of the things that I want to talk about and kind of segue here is your engagement on social media and fan engagement and stuff like that, to try to get that following, and not only get that following, but maintain that following and maintain that engagement. And I think one of the cool things that I saw that you posted either today or yesterday was giving away 2 free pit passes at Eldora. What have been some of the strategies for you to really keep that engagement and get new engagement and new fans?
I wish I could tell you I had this great strategy, this great plan to keep that. But truthfully, I don't. I need to learn more about it. I've actually reached out to some people and said, hey, what would you charge me to consult? Like, I don't want you to take this over. I want to learn this. I still want to be hands-on. And believe it or not, it's hard to find somebody willing to consult and help you. They either
what do you think that is?
I think it's because it's more of an investment in a person to teach them than it is just to do it. Right? I mean, if you've ever worked with a guy and you're trying to train him on a job, it's easier just to take over and do it than sit there and hold their hand through the process and teach them it. So I understand, like, there's probably more time put into it, which would be more of an expense for me. I get that, but it's something that I don't want to let go of. It's something that, to this point, I've been doing this 12 years. or this is my 12th season, I should say. I don't, we've built this really cool thing that we have on social media where we've engaged with a lot of people. I've made a lot of friends. I've been able to meet people like Tyler at Eldora. Luke's a kid that comes to Montpelier. He's a handicapped kid, and I call him a kid. I don't know how old he is. He's probably my age or older. And I got a really soft spot for some of them handicapped kids, and I've been able to make some of those connections through social media, and then keep and maintain those connections. So it's something that, to me, it's the people. It's not so much the social media. Yes, the social media really helps, right? It creates value for my partners. There's true analytical data to say, hey, I've had over 100,000 views in the last month, and your name is attached to several of those posts. You've had over 100,000 views of exposure over the last month, right? So there's a lot of analytical data to help my partners, and I understand I can't afford to do this on my own. I have to help those partners as much as possible. And that's why I call them partners and not sponsors, right?
Sure.
My success is directly related to their success. If they don't find success in partnering with JKR, then they'll leave JKR, and my success, then obviously the chances of being successful decreases. So that's why they're partners to JKR. So social media is a big deal. I would love to find somebody who wants to invest in me, teach me marketing, teach me strategy. But little things I've learned is post daily, post often, multiple posts a day. That really, really helps. Facebook gets you in the algorithm. Once you're in the algorithm, it helps. Being on Facebook's good side.
Yeah.
It's not easy to get there, especially with such a niche community being racing. There's a lot of people that do it, but it's very localized, right? You got Wayne County people and Lima Land people don't really. Kyle Moore's come over that way a little bit. Colton Shaw came over that way to Lima a little bit, but not a ton of Lima guys go over to Wayne County. Myself, Jordan Conover, we have a couple times, but there's not a ton of Lima guys going over to Wayne County, and so like the Wayne County fans are pretty localized. The Eldora fans and Lima fans, they're close enough that you'll get a lot of carryover there.
Sure.
But even from Montpelier to Lima, you don't see much carryover, and it's only hour and 45 minutes, hour and a half, something like that.
Yeah, if that. Yeah.
So it's pretty niche, being that you got to get local people, like the groups of local people outside your circle, to follow along too. And I think that really helps with what we're doing, especially like putting out the polls, like, hey, where should we race this weekend? And give people
I think
an
that's
option to
awesome,
vote,
man.
You know?
Yeah. I've seen.
It looks like Butler's leading the way for this weekend.
Oh, come on, Wayne County.
So,
let's get our boy back out.
I know you're gonna have to get your people voting.
Yeah. No, I think that's really interesting, and that's kind of one of the things that that I've thought about as my budding motorsports photography experience grows. I've only shot at Wayne County, and there was a ton of photographers there last night, and I was talking to an older gentleman. He's like, well, you ever go to Attica? You ever do this? You ever do that? And it's like, no, not really, because, I'm still trying to grow, my reach within Wayne County, and, especially on Facebook. Like, Facebook's probably been the most profitable as far as like engagement goes and sharing photos and stuff like that. But if I go to Attica, and if I post my photos, who's going to see that unless I tag Attica or Lima Land or something like that, and they repost it? I'm just throwing rocks in the dark, man. So I think you make a really good point as far as that really niche and kind of segregated or segmented audience for Facebook and just social media in general. What's some of the things that you see other racers doing on social media that are working really well for them?
So I think the obvious answer there is the YouTube thing, right? You look at Hunt the Front, Chase Holland Racing, Tim Nash. These people have been able to fund their racing entirely through the YouTube deal. And it's something that we've talked about, something we've looked at, something we've sworn time and time again, hey, we're going to do it this season. Hey, we're going to do it starting this week. Hey, we're going to do it. And truthfully, I would love to do it. It's something that I probably need to do. It's value for your partners. And once you get that following, more partners are attracted to your team. And not only is it attraction for partners, it's attraction for tracks. Tracks want you there. When you go to these tracks, you have a following there. So now you have people wanting to buy your merchandise. It's a huge snowball effect once you hit that, I guess, that algorithm, right, and go viral, right? Look at Mannix Furquan. I think he's probably a perfect story of that, where he kind of made his viral, however you want to say it, his post or whatever, through TikTok. And he blew up. Like, he got to go to Gateway. He got his first feature win on Modified a couple weeks ago. Congratulations to him for that.
That's huge.
But yeah, I'm jealous. I haven't got there yet. I've gotten 5 in a stock car. I'm waiting for the first in a mod.
You'll get there, man.
So I hope, but that going viral, doing that thing, TikTok worked for Mannix. YouTube seems to work for a lot of them. I've tried to model a little bit of my TikTok stuff after Mannix. I think he does some really good videos. He's got some great quality. He understands it, right? And I think that's a huge thing, is understanding what the platform is looking for and what your followers on that platform is looking for, are looking for. I think we got the Facebook thing figured out pretty good. I'm not saying that we don't have learning to do. We can't do better. I'll be the first one to admit I've been lazy the last few days. I've been so busy. I haven't been making my posts like I should. But we're doing really, really good on that. We're growing. We're going the right direction.
Yeah, you have. I just looked it up right now. You got 1.9 thousand followers on Jarrod Klay Racing LLC. So that's huge.
We've really started investing in that. And I mean, the last year, I'll be honest, we've really started making a push for that, as we've seen analytical data pay dividends in the partnership world. And we went from under 1,000 followers to where I got the exact number on my phone. It'll give me a little more data, I think, than what it'll give like just a regular person viewing the page.
Sure.
And we're midway through 1.9, so we're almost to 2,000 followers. So
that's huge.
And a little under a year, we've been able to double in size. So I mean, as that grows, it snowballs, right? And
100%.
That snowball just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So
yeah,
hopefully we can continue that trend.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think you hit it right on the head. Is, you have to stay consistent, and you doubled your size. Like, that's insane. That's insane in 1 year. And I think it just comes down to putting out good quality content, and like honest content too, not to where it's like, man, like you can almost tell when people have almost like a handler, like a social media like person. It's like, right. No, I know Jarrod's like posting this, asking people where should he race. And I think you're on like spot on for the YouTube stuff too, because, even with grassroots racing, there's still this like mystique around race car drivers. And, I think the behind the scenes stuff, that's the stuff that I was like, oh man, like what's this guy doing today? Like what's he doing on a Wednesday? I think that's like really great opportunity for you and anybody else. But as you mentioned, like you just got to start doing it.
Yeah. I think something a lot of people miss is how much work it is. And I used to laugh at that. Like, oh, you're just posting on Facebook. It's not actual physical work. And you're right. It's not physical labor. You're not crunching numbers on a computer even, you're not doing like hard brain work, but it's a lot of time investing in, all right, what do my people like to see? What is working? What's the algorithm going to pick up on? Like, is it hashtags? What is it? There's a lot more into it than just throwing a post out there and just being like, well, we'll see if this picture grabs attention. And then I think the next thing is once you find something that works, don't wear it out. you get that one viral post and you're like, holy cow, this thing's had, 12,000 views in one post, right? This is what I need to keep doing, right? And then you wear that out, and people don't want to follow that anymore. They don't want to see the same thing every day, right? Find something that works and put that in your back pocket, right? Come back to it in a month. Use that same tactic again, but don't wear out the tactic. Learn from it, right?
Yeah.
So I think like a lot of people love tagging followers and top fans on Facebook, right? Those type of pages I unfollow. I get tired of that happening, and it doesn't work. Yeah, it gets people to click on it because they get a notification on their phone.
Yep.
But you wear that out, and you're gonna get people to unfollow your page. So I try to reserve that for important posts, and then every week my fueling the future of Ohio Dirt. I try to make sure I get as many people to see that young talent that we're spotlighting that week as possible.
Yeah, I want to dive into that, man, because that's probably the biggest thing that caught my eye on Facebook is fueling the future, the youth of Ohio Dirt. Like, tell me what that is. Like, give me the 10,000 foot view.
So I would love to say this is my idea, but it's not. Gibson Racing, the owner of Tristan Chamberlain's 20 TC car, World Outlaw late model team. Wayne Gibson and I are pretty good friends. I've raced with him over the years. He's been a huge support to our team in a way that he's encouraged us. He's given us a lot of pointers, technical tips. Right, those late model teams have a little bit more technology than we do, so he's been able to give me some pointers on how to use some of the stuff they're doing on our level. And he came up with this plan for Indiana youth dirt racers.
Mm-hmm.
And I texted him I shared it, and then I put on there, hey, I wish somebody was doing this for me when I was young, right? I started at 16. To get your name out there at a young age is a good thing, right? I wish somebody was doing that for me. And then I kind of got a little bit convicted. I was like, man, I sit here and say I wish somebody would do that for me, but I'm not willing to do it myself. So I texted him back and I said, hey, would you be offended if I stole your idea for Ohio? He's like, no, I think it's a great thing. I think that's awesome. So I reached out to his daughter, was the one doing some of the graphics and stuff for it. She helped me make a couple graphics for it. And we've kind of run with it. We have a Google form we send the parent, or if we're doing to the age of 20, just because I think some of these young people still need some recognition, even if they're over 18, right? So we're doing to the age of 20. If they're over 18, I allow them to fill out the form themselves. If they're under 18, I ask for parental consent, just being that I'm having photos of minors posted on Facebook, just for, I don't want anybody getting upset at me for posting their child on Facebook.
No, 100%.
So we send them a Google form, has some basic data, and then we take that data and we try to turn into a really cool, engaging, exciting post, really boosting this young person, right? We talked about how emotional and discouraging racing can be for us adults, right? I'm 27 years old. I'm pretty, I'm not to that 30 number yet, but I'm pretty emotionally established, right? I should be able to control my emotions at this point. questions they're asking.
Yeah, that's really important, man. On all aspects of life, racing, growing up as a young man, trying to find answers of how to be a human, how to be a good man or a woman, and tapping into the spiritual aspect of that too. That's awesome. What's your biggest first piece of advice if a kid comes up to you and says, "Hey, I think I want to get into racing. I love watching it. I don't know what to do. What do I do?"
Jokingly, I tell them not to. You'll be financially regretting it for the rest of your life. But in all seriousness, yes, I will say financially, it's put me way behind the 8 ball in life. The money I've invested into racing, or dumped in, if you don't want to call it investment, I probably could have this house I built paid off and still have cash in the bank, right? If I would have saved that, all the money I've put into it. But there's a lot in life that I would have missed out on, right? These young people that I've invested in, I've made these friendships, these relationships that I'll never regret that, right? The Dustins, the Gavins, the Skylers, all those kids. I've made more of a connection with them than just a racer helping a racer out. I would tell them, find a good, safe car first off. Find somebody who can help you. Don't try to do it on your own. Never go to the racetrack alone. If you get hurt, you don't have a way to get home. Yep. I would tell them, make it more than about competing. Find out how to have fun without finishing first, because there's very few people who can get in a car and just win right away. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of talent. And then earn the respect of your fellow racers before you go and try to make waves. One cool thing Todd Sherman told me, I got my first win at Lima in 2023. I got my first win at Lima in a stock car. Mind you, we started racing I was 16 in 2014. So, okay. 2023, I got my first win in a car. And Todd Sherman came up to me after the race and he goes, "You're doing this the right way, kid." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "There are very few racers that when somebody wins, his competitors and everybody in the stands are happy to see him win." He goes, "You're one of those racers." And he said, all these trophies are nothing if you don't invest in people while you're doing it. And it meant a lot to me coming from somebody who has multiple championships, UMP national championships, Lima Land championships. This guy's won almost everywhere he's raced. I don't know if he's ever raced at a track he hasn't won at. He's got more wins than I'll probably ever have in my whole career. And it meant something come from a guy like that. So do it the right way. Don't just go out there trying to get trophies and step on anybody's toes you can while you're doing it. Make those friendships, make those relationships, and then when you have the ability, start investing in that next young person that wants to come up and do it.
Yeah, 100%, man. I appreciate you sharing that advice with us, and I think racing is one of those realms where if you're not a good dude, people are going to find out really fast, and nobody's going to support you. Like, not only just like fans, but fellow racers, potential partners, racetrack owners. Like, if you're not a good dude, people are going to find out really quick.
That's one thing we're really blessed by in the racing world is the majority of the people we race with are pretty good people. I mean, we leave thousands of dollars equipment in our trailers unattended while we go up and watch the races, and then we drive back to the trailer. Nothing's touched. I mean, yep. There's so many sports where people lock up their gear after they play, football or hockey. Their stuff's locked up because they got money invested in this gear that they can't afford to be stolen. And we're leaving far more money in equipment unattended and nobody's touching it, right? The majority of people in racing are good, down-to-earth people, are competitors. We help each other. Can't tell you how many times at the track I've loaned somebody apart and been loaned apart all in the same night, right? We got great people to be around, and make sure you're one of the good people. Don't, like you said, don't be one of those guys that nobody wants to help.
Yeah, 100%. I'm curious to know, what does feeling the future look like in 5 years?
So I mean, we dream, right? As a kid, I said I was going to be in NASCAR. Obviously, I think that ship has sailed. But dreams, I would love for it to be something that um, grows to the point where, if we do this social media thing right, and we start getting a little bit of kickback from social media, hopefully I can financially start supporting some of these younger racers. And it's more of a program where, I have these applicants where X amount of applicants get X amount of dollars a year, and then the rest of them just get mentions, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would love for it to turn into something like that. I don't know if it will ever get to that point. That would be my goal. We did just start a 501c3 called Racing for Jesus with our spiritual side of what we do in racing, passing out our goodie bags. They have gospel tracks in them. So that's been our goal with that, is to create some funding there where we can support some younger racers.
That's awesome.
With that nonprofit, support younger racers, pay for some hopefully some outreach events where we could, like a school outing for young kids, have the race car there, be able to sponsor that event, get the name out to kids in racing, kids that do race, kids that don't. I don't know. I would like for this to grow into something huge, something big. I guess we'll just see how the Lord directs it. But my goal would be something that we can financially start helping younger racers out. Would be awesome. I know how much it costs. I was one of them, and I'm still doing it.
Right. Yeah. 100%, man. No, I think all that stuff that you said is attainable. I 100% believe that you're chipping away to making steps towards the future. My next question is, all right, what does Jarrod Klay racing look like in 5 years?
I don't know what it will look like in 5 years. Got
to get that house built first.
Yeah, that's been that's been a project, right? But 5 years, I would say we're probably still in a modified. I'd love to go up to a late model. My dream's been to run a late model for years. I love them. They're beautiful pieces of equipment. They can drive in the corner so hard. They're just amazing cars. But if I'm funding the bills, I think modified's probably the highest we'll go. I would like to maybe partner with a team where a guy has a car and he's looking for somebody to be able to bring some partners on board, and we'd be able to do it together. That'd be something that, obviously would take a financial burden off of me. I could bring something to the table, and maybe we could create something really cool out of it. Be able to keep my car, because I do a lot of parades and stuff with the car, so be able to keep my car as more of a show car, be able to do those parades, do those events, those outreach events with those kids, do those car shows. I do a lot of community events outside the racetrack, so it'd be nice to be able to have a second car to be able to do that, where we just did the Memorial Day parade and we raced the night before that, so it's stressful to turn a car around that fast. So it'd be nice to have that second car where we can just say, hey, this is on an open trailer. It's going to the parade tomorrow. We're going to race this one tonight. I don't know. I would like for JKR to still exist in 5 years. I would like for it 100%. To be something that's still going strong. I think whether or not JKR exists in 5 years, I want to keep the JKR page alive, whether that turns into something more that is more focused on young drivers, focused on maybe doing a podcast. We started talking about doing a podcast on our own on like a Tuesday night or something. So that'd be something that we've talked about. I don't know. It's hopefully in 5 years it exists. It's going strong, and it's something that's a little more than just the local level. Hopefully it's more regional, more national. So we're reaching out to some people that we haven't been able to touch, right, with what we do. So that'd be cool that if racing, JKR alongside with Fueling the Future of Ohio Dirt, maybe that turns into Fueling the Future of youth dirt racing instead of Ohio Dirt, right? So we'll see what it is.
Yeah. You mentioned like trying to get out to the regional and national level for JKR. I get the sense that obviously getting partners for your racing team is difficult. What are some of the challenges and like biggest hurdles aside from like, obviously wins? What are some of the biggest hurdles that you see to step up to that regional level and then stepping up to that national level?
Right. I think partners, right. We talked about that. But time, and knowledge, I think are the two biggest things that hold a lot of people back is, just the knowledge of how to adjust a car, when to adjust it so that you can be competitive all night long. Like I said, we've got some people that have come alongside of us and really accelerated that part of our program for us, and I'm super thankful to that person. They prefer not to be named, so I won't name them. But
Yeah, that's fine. Cool.
knowledge is a huge thing, that I think even with subpar equipment, you can compete if you have the knowledge to know how to do it. And I'm not saying our equipment's subpar. I mean, we don't have the best of the best, but I think it's good enough to do what we want it to do. And then time, right? JKR is in a really weird state right now where it takes a lot of time to maintain what we're doing and a lot of investment to maintain the level at what we're doing it at. But it's not giving back enough to be able to make it something full time. So you're in a really tough position where you have to still have a full-time job and put the effort of a full-time job into maintaining JKR, the social media side. And I mean, not only are you doing the social media side, right? I still have a car to fix every week. So that creates, more time. So it's in a really weird spot where it's taking the effort of a full-time job, but not giving back like a full-time job.
Yeah, buddy, I'm right there with you with photography, man.
Yeah. I mean, you take some pretty sick shots. Those turn one photos were pretty awesome.
I appreciate
going into
that.
turn one and then out of turn two. Those were pretty sweet.
I appreciate that, man. But yeah, I like a lot of, I appreciate you, being honest and open about what it really takes to own a racing team and be a part of a racing team at this level. But 100%. It's like, God, man, like I love photography so much and I love shooting. I love being out there, but if that was the only thing that was paying the bills right now, we wouldn't be paying any bills.
Right. Exactly. Right. I think our passion and our desire is the only thing that keeps it alive, right? Because it ain't the money. It's just how much we want to do what we're doing. I guess one of the biggest things is I think we've really talked about partners a lot in this. I've had a couple people reach out to me because I will say we're very blessed with the partners we do have. We do have a large amount of partners, and they take really good care of us. Unfortunately, this year a couple of them stepped away, but we're really well taken care of, and we have really strong bonds with our partners. And I think a lot of these people want to reach out to somebody and say, "Hey, will you sponsor my car?" And that's great. I'm not saying you're doing it wrong, but I think there's better approaches. I've had a couple people reach out. My words of advice to them is quit calling them sponsors, and it's not because you're just going to change the name to make it more appealing. You need to mentally view them as something different than a sponsor. When you stop calling them a sponsor, your mental thoughts about it will follow that. So start calling them your partner. Understand that their success is directly tied to your success. Understand that, I reached out to Elevation Construction a couple weeks ago. We don't talk every day. It's not like we're best friends or something. I mean, I do view them as a friend. Obviously, anybody who's willing to support me, I think they're pretty good friends, right? But I reached out to them and said, "Hey, how is what JKR is doing for Elevation helping? Is there anything that you would like us to change or do to help you out more? And then is there any like big events you want us to be a part of? Reach out to us, let us know." And he goes, "No, everything you're doing is amazing. We love it." And like making those ties where it's not just, "Hey, every January Jerry's going to come around and ask for a check." No, I'm going to reach out to him throughout the year. Last year was the first time Elevation was on the car, and he actually stepped up to the main primary partner this season.
Right.
And it was, I think he came on the car middle of April. He was after the first race at Lawrenceburg. He came on the car, and I had him out midway through the summer. I was like, hey, his sticker last year was on the nose piece, and I junked a nose piece. I said, hey, I junked a nose piece. Are you interested in getting this new nose piece for wall art or whatever? He goes, dude, I'd love it. Can I bring my son and his cousin out? I said, yeah, that's great. All right, they're young. I don't know, they're 6, 7-ish. I was like, yeah, bring them out. I'd love to show them the car. Love to. So I started up for him. I had him out there. I gave him that piece. I let the kids get in the car if they wanted to. It's just making those relationships and viewing them as partners, as friends, and not just an ATM. You got to quit treating sponsors like an ATM.
Yeah. How do you?
I think so many drivers have killed.
I'm sorry.
What's that?
How do you identify like a company or a potential partner as someone that like, man, I want to work with this company, or like, how do you almost on the other side of the coin, how do you vet a company that approaches you to see if it's a good fit? Like, what does that process look like?
Yeah, so that's awesome you asked that question. That's a great question, because I'd say 5 years ago, anybody willing to write me a check, I would have taken it. Sure. Don't care what you do. I need the money to go racing. And through some different experiences, I've learned that there's some money that costs more than what you receive. And there are companies that, and maybe it's a maturity thing, right? Like I said, I started at 16, I'm 27. I've done a lot of growing up through racing. So I don't want to represent a company that does things shady. You know, I want to represent a company that's honest, upright. And there have been some companies that, you know, we've separated with, whether it be mutual or whether it be my side or their side. We've said, hey, you know, like, this is just not a good fit. So some of those companies have taken care of themselves where they don't feel like they're a good fit with JKR. Typically that's the route it goes, and it makes it pretty easy because you don't have to have that hard conversation. But yeah, I mean, you're going to do a little bit of research about the company. If a company is a shady company, you're going to find it pretty quick on Google. People love to talk about negative, right? So, but keep in mind that if they're being negative, it doesn't always mean that it's actually a negative thing, right? It could be that, you know, you get somebody on there that just wants to complain. So you got to be careful. But yeah, JKR is really big on making sure that we're a fit. We've turned down partners before because they don't align with our goals, our morals. We don't advertise anything that would go against what we believe is morally right. Going back on the spiritual level of things. So we've told some companies, like, I appreciate the offer, but that's just, we don't advertise that way. So I think it's big that you got to identify, like, going back to what you said, identifying the companies, see if what you have to offer them brings value to them, and then see if it aligns with what you agree with. It's a lot more than a Facebook message. You're meet face to face. I say that, and then my primary sponsor, Elevation, came on board through Facebook. So I guess I can't say that it doesn't work that way, but meet face to face, be genuine, tell them what your goals are, ask them what they want out of it, right? There are some people that could give a care less about the social media side. They just want a really big logo on the car. Yeah. That's fine. Like, but if you don't know that and you put a medium to okay sized logo on your car and then never shout them out on social media all the time saying that they're this great partner, like, you could be going above and beyond for this person in your mind, and they're like, yeah, I'm never partnering with this guy again. He's not doing what I need him to do. Man. You gotta figure out what their expectations are and then do what you can to meet their expectations.
And I think racing's in a really, really interesting spot where you can be really creative with your marketing and your partnerships, and, you know, what you value as a race team and what they value as a company, and then meeting in the middle, or, you know, finding a combination and that works for you guys both. What do you have any like stories on what you've done for like some of your companies, anything like that?
I mean, like the parades are huge. These companies
Yeah,
love parades. Their name is plastered on the side of the car, and I mean, when's the last time you saw a race car at a parade? It's not something that a lot of guys do. We do
yeah,
our goodie bag stuff. Some sponsors really like uh, their name on the chest of the fire suit. I don't know
sure.
what it is, but there are people that like value that more than the logo on the car.
Huh.
So weekly I'm up in the stands passing out goodie bags to the kids. I don't know if you saw me when I was over at Wayne County, but we went up passed out. I don't know. I think it was a little over 100 goodie bags to the kids. And Wayne County's got to be one of my favorite places to go because there's more kids there than almost any track I go to. Like there's a
They're
ton of
everywhere.
little kids there. It's awesome. Yeah, they're
They're
awesome.
everywhere.
So it's a great place to go pass out goodie bags. Sign autographs. I take Sharpies with me. I sign things that they want. So that brings a ton of value to them because they're on the logo. And then not only that, but then these people, well, what car do you race? Oh, I race a 17 modified. So now they're looking for your car. So that's something I do for my partners. Um, I've parked it at college campus days. There's been companies that will like go to a campus days and like, hey, when you come to college here, we can provide a job. I've parked the car there, like, hey, this will just bring the kids to our booth, and then we can talk to them about the jobs we'll provide.
Yeah,
So just being willing to do stuff outside the racetrack. The racetrack is cool and all, but
yeah.
9 times
That
out of
almost
10, a company can find
that
value
almost
outside of the racetrack too.
yeah, that almost sounds like a touch a truck. I don't know if you guys have touch a truck in your community, but I know basically touch a truck is, all these companies bring out like restoration trucks and vans and stuff like that, and cranes and fire trucks and stuff like that, and the little kids get to crawl over it and stuff like that. I almost see like that would be an interesting opportunity for you guys. I'm always spitballing, dude.
Yeah, no, I love it. Like that's another guy I think who's really good. That is Weasel Flippo. He does a ton of like parades,
Mm,
festivals, stuff like that for different partners. I think he's got a great idea with it. I wouldn't say I took it from him, but the more I look at what he does, I'm like, man, it's really similar. We both reach out a ton to the community, and that's the important stuff, right? Yeah, the racetrack is cool. Win pictures are cool, but
mm,
it's I'll be the first to admit it's hard to see a logo at 100 mile an hour.
yeah,
So it does a lot when the car is sitting there and they're like, oh wow, look, Elevation supports somebody local in racing. Maybe I want to support them with my money, right? So
yeah.
it's huge to do those little things for your partners. It's not that hard. Yeah, I complain about it. It's hard to wash a car, turn it around for a parade the next day. You know,
Right.
I'm human. I can complain just as easy as the next guy. But truthfully, it's I mean it's less work than going to a race for a night. You're not tearing anything up going to a parade. So
Yeah.
why are you complaining, right?
I think that again, that kind of touches on breaking that fourth wall of mystique from racetrack, race car driver to, oh my God, like here's this actual race car right in front of me. And then seeing Elevation Construction and your other partners and stuff like that. Well, I kind of want to tie in to fueling the future as these young drivers are coming up and they might be looking for their first partner. How do you advise a young driver to make that initial approach or have that initial conversation of seeking first partnerships?
Yeah, do research on the company. Don't just go to them and ask for money. Know what they're
Mm-hmm.
about, know what they do, and give them a reason. Like I said, I guess tie back to our earlier conversation with Tide. Um, I can see the marketing slogan right there for them. Right, we're dirt racers, greasy, dirty. Watch what they can clean out of my racing shirt. A short video on us rolling around in the dust on and in the pits at the racetrack. Right. Tide logo on my chest of my fire suit, a video of that as I race, dirt hitting me, clods of mud, right? Come up with a strategy for the company, make them see that vision. Like, there are very few companies that are going to see the vision of racing because of what I just said. A logo is really hard to see at 100 mile an hour. They're like, well, no, you can't. It's moving too fast to see anyways. Why would I go that route? So you're going to have to show them that vision. Show them the social media. Like, hey, we have X amount of if it's 500 followers, that's still 500 people that might not see their logo anywhere else than your page. It doesn't have to be amazing. It doesn't have to be big. I don't think 2,000 followers is huge. There's a lot of teams out there with a lot more of a following, but that doesn't mean that we're not growing it and trying to grow it and show them that value. I do think our views per month are pretty high for a 2,000 follower page. We're over 100,000 views per month, so it shows we're doing something right. We just gotta get them people to click the follow button. I don't know why that's so hard, but we gotta jump that hurdle of clicking the follow button. But
it's almost like you want to take their mouse for them and be like, hey, like the follow button's right here. Just move your mouse.
Yeah, just click. It doesn't cost you a dime. Just click it, right?
Yeah.
But do some research. Come up with a marketing plan for them. Don't make them try to envision that themselves, because most likely it's not going to get anywhere.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your insight on our conversation about partnerships and JKR, and what fueling the future looks like, and kind of how you came up, man. Thanks again for coming on Rubberneck Radio.
Thank you, and like I said, go follow JKR. I would really appreciate that. But thanks, Scott. I really appreciate it.
We're going to, before we wrap up here, I definitely want to make sure that, we just got done talking about hitting that follow button. Where can people find JKR and all your social medias and websites and stuff like that?
Yeah, we are Jarrod Klay Racing on Facebook. I believe it's on Instagram. I tried to change it. I don't know if it went through or not, but it's either Jarrod Klay or Jarrod Klay Racing on Instagram. Jarrod Klay on TikTok. We are on X, but I don't really use it, so shame on me. I know that's a really good platform to get followers on, but I don't use it a ton. And then YouTube, I think we're Jarrod Klay Racing. I just recently changed the name. If it's not Jarrod Klay Racing, it'll be Jarrod Klay Racing Ministries. So you can follow us on all those. We do have some cool in-car videos, some win videos on that. Right front suspension work on YouTube. So some pretty cool shots on there.
That's cool.
Give us a follow. We'd love to follow. It doesn't cost you a dime, but it actually really helps JKR. Facebook tracks that stuff and actually gives JKR a little bit of kickback for followers and views and stuff like that. So
that's huge.
If you want to help out a racing team in a little way, like their post, share their post, comment, follow their page. That stuff does build up over time.
Yeah. And like you said, man, it doesn't cost a dime. And I don't know how many like local racers and regional racers I've followed over the last few months. Just to, I may never see this guy race in real life, but I'm gonna support him. So, man, I appreciate your time. I appreciate having this conversation with you. I think our audience is going to get a lot of really good insight on partner development and kind of that partnership navigation